Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of Daniel
With Brady Randall.
Over the last couple of days, we've begun to look at the vision that Daniel had received in chapter 8. And a lot of what Daniel had received was very disturbing for God's people. Again, here is what we read that this king does. And again, many see this king as Antiochus IV. This little horn grew until it reached the host of heavens and grew towards the beautiful land, most likely the land of Palestine. This person throws the stars to the ground and trampled on them. And then here's what we read in verses 11 to 14. It sets itself up as to be great as the commander of the army of the Lord, and it took away the daily sacrifice from the Lord, and his sanctuary was thrown down. Because of the rebellion, the Lord's people and the daily sacrifice were given over to it. It prospered in everything that it did, and truth was thrown to the ground. Then I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to him, "How long will it take for the vision to be fulfilled?" The vision concerning the daily sacrifice, the rebellion that causes desolation, the surrender of the sanctuary, and the trampling underfoot of the Lord's people. He said to me, "It will take 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated." Now again, if in fact this is describing Antiochus IV, we know from history how he terrorized the people of God. He executed thousands of Jewish people during his time. He tried to force the people to adopt the Greek culture and the religious practices of his day. And as verse 11 notes, he took away the daily sacrifices of the people of God. He banned the practice of circumcision. He defiled God's temple by sacrificing a pig on the altar. He put Zeus in the Holy of Holies, which is where God was to dwell. And he surrendered the sanctuary, as we read in verse 13. In addition, he burned copies of the scriptures, killing all who got in his ways. Again, a very, very destructive man. Imagine this devastation to the people of God. Imagine hearing that this is what is going to take place. And imagine not only hearing about that, but if you were alive, seeing it fulfilled in a certain point of history. This would be something like in the Muslim world in the Middle East. People coming to Christian churches, burning Bibles, burning down the churches, decapitating Christians right there on the spot, and inviting family members to watch unless they renounce Christianity and turn to Allah of Islam. How would you react in that moment? How heavy a vision this must have been for Daniel and God's people to hear. Tomorrow we will look at how God has given these kinds of visions to us today in order to be prepared for the antichrists who are to come. But notice why this happens, verse 12, because of the rebellion of God's people. God tried to warn his people over and over through the prophets as to what was to come. But God's people continually forsook him, chased after idols, other gods, and other sins, and this is what is the result. And God warns us over and over of what rebellion against him will cost us. And many of us just sort of shrug our shoulders and think, no big deal. Just a vision, just a story, just a piece of literature. But this is terrifying. And though it's terrifying, he promises it will not last forever. Notice there's a precise time given for how long this will last. 2,300 evenings and mornings, then the sanctuary will be reconsecrated. If we're talking literal here, this is just over 6 years. And this is probably in the time of Antiochus, so probably having already been fulfilled. When Antiochus died, the Jews purified and rededicated the temple. But again, here's the bottom line. God knows and shares with his people that there is a precise time for their suffering. What God's people are or will endure is not the end of the story. Even if we don't know when it will end, God does. And if you trust in Christ, this life is as close to hell as you will ever get. And suffering does not hold the end of the story. God does. John 16:33, Jesus reminds us, and he says this, "In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, for I have overcome the world."
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.